Hey everybody, Mike from FisherMN here. Zone 1 is in the books. My near west zone in Minnesota, if you've been watching for the last few weeks, finished up last week. And I feel like it was a nice start to this winter summer challenge. Ended up fishing 3 lakes. I started at 5:30 a.m. and I got off the lakes at 3:47 p.m. The first 2 lakes were a breeze. The last lake was a grind, but managed a limit on each lake. Nothing real complicated for the catching. Caught some on a frog, got one of my big ones on a buzzbait, and then it was a bladed jig that was the star of the show. I caught 224 inches of scoreable bass, that counts the culls and everything, for an average of about 75 inches on each lake. The best combined 5 bass from all the 3 lakes that I fished were 87.5 inches. I think that's a pretty good day in Minnesota of bass fishing to get up towards that 90-inch mark. The biggest caught was a 20-incher right at the end, if you watched last week's video. If you've been watching the videos and liking them, give it a thumbs up. It helps YouTube know to kind of push out my content, and also think about subscribing. Once the channel's monetized, we're gonna have a big giveaway. So without further ado, let's clean up some more snow here in Minnesota and head to my local zone of lakes. The next 3 lakes are going to be local to where I live. See you on the water, everybody. Morning everybody, Mike from FisherMN here, back at it, summer 2025 winter challenge. I'm close to home today. This is lake number 2. Lake number 1 I couldn't get on. So at 5:30 in the morning, I get to the landing and it's all shut down for whatever reason. So this is lake number 2 on the list. Our first lake of the day to fish. All we gotta do is go out there and get a 5 bass limit, and then we're moving on to the next lake. This is a lake that my buddy Paul frequents quite a bit. There's some big ones in here. We're gonna see if we can get them. Let's go fishing. Good morning everybody, happy summer. Glad to be out here. 2025 open water season, first cast here. You know what I'm looking for if you watch the channel. Haven't had one for a while. Can maybe find a landing monster. One of those mornings, first lake, the landing was shut down. And so I had to find my way over to this lake, coming from a different angle. Had a little bit of a hard time finding it, but we're back on the water. Happy to be out. Looks like we got a little bit more wind than was forecasted. That's okay. We got a lot of stuff that we can use with the wind and whatever conditions we have. Just kind of buzzing a frog along here, just in case. We'll just go up this line where it's sheltered, and then we'll see about getting back to bladed jigs and whatever is going to work today. All right, my winter challenge. This lake, don't get too used to it. All we're going to do is we're going to see if we can catch 5 measurable bass. And I'm going by minimum tournament standards, and that is 12 inches or better. We get 5 bass on this lake, we move on to the next lake. Even in the wind, you can kind of use your wind to the advantage. I'm looking up here and I'm seeing the wind come around that point of the lily pads, and that's where my most hopeful cast is going to be. You know, you got to fish all the way up there. You don't want to miss any in the meantime. In fact, let's throw it in the thick stuff and see if there's anything hunting. I already did a part of this series in my near west, I called it. It's a little ways away from home, but not too far. Hopefully you've seen that, and hopefully you'll see these days as part of that series. There we go. Right on that corner. Right where we're... That's a nice one. It's a good one to start the day with. Alright, that fish was sitting right on the inside of that corner that we're working our way up to. Alright, good first bass. Oh, I don't know, we might be able to call this a landing monster. Usually my standard for landing monsters are 18 inches. I'm guessing 17 just to start with this guy. But let's see. We got 18. Oh, 17 and a half. What a great start. 17 and a half inch bass. Nice chunky belly on it. There we go. Great start to the day. 17 and a half inch bass. Even on these windy days, don't forget about the frog. Man, what a great way to get started. We haven't even got all the way up to the exact best cast I was thinking about. So let's get back in there. All right, a good start. One fish to the limit. Let's go bladed jig. Start with our black and blue. I don't mind black and blue in a clear water situation. Thinking maybe getting as close to shore as we can with deep enough water, especially with this wind kind of blowing in there. Sun's up, another beautiful day on the water. Happy to be with all of you. I tell you, there's not a ton of people that watch my videos, but the ones that I've met and the comments that I get and the back and forths I've had, I appreciate all of you. It's just fun to get out here and do something I love to do and have a few people watch. All right, let's get back on the fish. We're in a bit of a choked out area here. Let's see if we can find an edge. Got some nice lily pads coming up there. Early morning, I think. Might have to throw a frog at them. Got 8 feet, 9 feet. We got weeds all the way up to 4 feet. So we got some 5 feet tall weeds. I see some weeds kind of on the surface over here. Oh. Man, I don't know if it's panfish hitting the blade or what, but a couple of them felt like some pretty good smacks. There's the fish. All right, another little ankle biter northern. Giving us some action in between bass. Let's see. Let's just see if we can get some bass that have frog on the brain here. Just kind of let myself drift in kind of easily here. Back to bladed jig, and actually I think I might try a lighter color bladed jig. There we go. Go with the Evo electric shad with the electric shad power stinger off the back. Let's go. Let's have some thump this jig. All right, 7:12. Been fishing for about probably 25 minutes or so. So we'll say 6:45 on the water. Probably like 6:50 first fish. Now it's about 7:12 and we're hunting for our second bass. We've caught a couple of northerns. All right, back to the Booyah Pad Crasher on the calm weed line early in the morning. What could go wrong? Looking at this area the same as the landing, kind of got the where it comes around, where the wind's blowing, will probably be our best cast, but we'll fish it all the way up. There we go. That bass popped it. All right, is he gonna make it? There we go. He looks long and lean, we like to say. Got another one for the limit. Oh yeah, 13 3/4. Second fish, 13 3/4, and it is 7:34. All right, 3 more fish and we're on to a new lake. Like I say, I had my eye on the corner up here, but it's always good to fish all the way up. And I threw it in a little bit heavier spot. I think the pads are key just because it's such clear water. So it just gives them the idea something's hopping around there. There we go. All right. Once we see that there's a few in here, we can kind of target them. Is he gonna make our cut? Let's see. 13. All right, 13-inch bass. That's 3 to the limit. Not a monster limit, but having fun with the frogs. So just kind of working it slow, giving them a chance to see that the frog bait's there, and then let them figure out how to get it. 3 to our limit, 2 small ones, 1 really nice one. We'll work up this kind of lily pad edge here, since we've had a couple of hits. Maybe we'll find a bigger guy in there. Then I think I'm gonna buzz back over towards the landing where I got my bigger fish. We'll try over there, and then we'll try the weed edge with a bladed jig and see if we can move on. Oh, that last fish, 7:53 a.m. So probably about 5 minutes after well, probably more like 10 minutes after we got another one in this area. Some lakes have small lily pads, some have big ones. This one has a variety. The lily pad variety pack. All right, let's get back over towards the landing and see if we want to work the lily pads or the weed line over there. Probably a little bit of both. See you on the other side. All right, other shore time. Landing's right around that corner. Hoping to pick up a couple of quick ones. Then we'll move on to our next lake. fish on. All right. Another one of the entertainers in between bass. So this is a cool looking northern. It's kind of greenish looking. Look at that around the mouth. That is a real green one. Got 10 feet right here. But lots of shallow weeds around me. So I'll just take some time and work this area. See if we can get a bass. Strike king jig, chigger craw, black and blue, not max scent, regular. My theory is if everybody's zoomed in there, maybe the whatever fish are there are just kind of hanging out in this deeper water. So I'll just drag a jig real slow. See if I can pick one or two off. Oh, there's a fish. What do we got? That's a bass. Number 4. If it measures. What do we got? 13 and a half. There we go. Another little guy to our limit, but 4th fish. And we got a couple working around here. Nice little jig bite. Alright, looking for that one more fish. Alright, back with the frog. Booyah, pad crusher. There we go. This will be number 5. Yes, sir. And there is our 5th to the limit. All right. $14.5. There we go. We got some 13s and 14s and a nice 17.5 incher. 5th fish to the limit. Now by my own rules, I can cull for 30 minutes. I don't think I'm gonna cull for 30 minutes. But what I'm gonna do is maybe just take a few casts and see if we can upgrade any of our fish. In a tournament style or a challenge like this, you just got to come back to what was working. And that's the 3rd fish I've caught in this stretch. I would have never guessed that the frogfish on a windy day like this would be the biggest player. But you know what? Those are the things you figure out as you're out here fishing. So this last fish was about 9:50 and the one was about 5 minutes before it, so 9:45 and 9:50 for our last 2. Nice to get 5 in the boat. A bit of a grind this morning. You can probably see, let's see on this side, you can probably see how clear this water is. So as the sun's come up, it's gotten a little bit tougher to get the fish to bite. Bladed jig, nothing. Kind of hopeful at the next lake that the bladed jig will be a player. To the landing we go. All right, see how that easy that is when you got a little time warp going on? All right, we're back towards the landing. I'm gonna do, I got 20 minutes left to cull, but I'm gonna take about 3 minutes, make a few casts here, then we're gonna take the boat out and find another lake to try to get a limit of bass.